Have you ever noticed how often being a good person becomes nothing more than a prison of your own making? A golden cage where your wings fold inward until they forget how to spread? Perhaps you felt that silent ache when you realize your kindness has become performative, a mask you wear so convincingly that you've forgotten the face beneath. You smile when your soul wants to scream. You nod when your spirit demands to say no. And somehow, in this dance of perpetual agreeability, you've lost the right to your own edges. The painful truth lurks beneath the surface of our daily interactions. Each unnecessary, sorry, each reluctant, yes, each swallowed objection, they accumulate like silent poison in the veins of your authentic self. You have been taught that goodness means absence, the absence of conflict, the absence of inconvenience, the absence of your true desires manifesting in the world. Society has weaponized your empathy against you. It has convinced you that to be loved, you must first be useful, pleasant, and eternally accommodating. The metrics of your worth have become external, measured in smiles received, and burdens carried for others, in the careful hiding of your own rough and magnificent edges. Sigmund Freud understood this prison intimately. Behind the Victorian facade of manners and morality, he saw the seething undercurrent of repressed desire and authentic selfhood. Most people do not really want freedom, Freud observed, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. Your relentless niceness is not virtue but fear dressed in moral clothing. It is the child within still desperately trying to earn love through perfect behavior. The psychic apparatus Freud mapped reveals your predicament. The superego, that internalized parent, demands compliance with social norms at all costs. It whispers that you must be good to be worthy. Meanwhile, your ID, the authentic, vital force of your desires, grows restless in the shadows. Denied expression, it leaks out in depression, anxiety, and that nagging emptiness you feel. Between these forces stands your ego, weakened by years of choosing external validation over internal truth. It has forgotten how to mediate, how to honor both world and self. What Freud understood, that we still struggle to accept, is that denying our shadow creates not goodness but unconscious malice. The niceness becomes passive aggression, the compliance becomes resentment. Your unexpressed boundaries don't simply disappear. They transmute into psychological symptoms, into dreams where you scream without sound, into physical ailments that speak what your voice cannot. The authentic path is not the eradication of darkness, but its integration. To know your capacity for rage, for selfishness, for desire, and to hold it consciously rather than repress it. Consider the child who learns early that their anger frightens the adults they depend on. They lock away their rage, becoming the agreeable child, winning love at the cost of wholeness. That child grows into an adult who cannot say no, who smiles through mistreatment, who gives until empty, all while a forgotten fury builds pressure in the depths of their being. This splitting creates what Freud called the uncanny, the strange sense of being both yourself and a stranger to yourself. The nice person who harbors inexplicable resentments. The exhaustion you feel isn't from doing too much. It comes from the constant internal battle of suppressing your authentic reactions in service of an impossible ideal of goodness. What might emerge if you allowed the full spectrum of your humanity to breathe? If you permitted yourself the revolutionary act of speaking your unfiltered truth? The first truth is that kindness without boundaries is not kindness at all. It is fear masquerading as virtue, abandonment of self disguised as care for others. Real generosity flows from abundance, not obligation. It arises naturally when you first honored your own needs, when giving doesn't mean self-erasure but authentic connection. The weathered face of a mountain reveals its character through storms endured, not storms avoided. So too does your humanity deepen not through moral performance but through authentic presence. There is a profound difference between the nice person and the good person. Niceness seeks approval, goodness seeks truth. Niceness avoids conflict, goodness engages with reality. Niceness is transactional. I will be pleasant so that you will like me. Goodness is transcendent. I will be authentic so that real connection becomes possible. Your shadow contains not just darkness but power. The power to set boundaries. The power to stand in disagreement. The power to disappoint others when integrity demands it. The voice of criticism within you isn't morality but fear. It keeps you small, predictable, and contained, a domesticated version of the wild creature you truly are. What if the greatest gift you could offer the world isn't your compliance, but your authenticity? Not your agreeability, but your fierce and tender truth? Freud understood that civilization itself is built on the repression of instinct. Yet he also knew that this repression exacts a terrible price: neurosis, disconnection, the quiet desperation of unlived life. The first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization, he wrote. But civilization was never meant to be a cage for your spirit. The integration begins with radical honesty, first with yourself. What do you actually feel? What do you actually want? What would you say if you weren't afraid of rejection? Notice how your body tightens when you betray yourself with false agreement. Feel the subtle violence you inflict on your own spirit with each inauthentic yes. The path forward isn't sudden rebellion, but gradual reclamation. Begin with small truths. I need to think about it. That doesn't work for me. I feel differently about this. Listen for the automatic apologies that pepper your speech. Each unnecessary sorry is a moment of self-abandonment, a subtle message that your existence itself requires justification. Your anger, when acknowledged, becomes not destruction but clarifying fire. It reveals what matters to you, what you will protect, where your essential boundaries lie. Your selfishness, when conscious, becomes not cruelty but necessary self-preservation. It ensures you don't offer from an empty cup, that you don't give what you don't truly have to give. Your darker impulses, when brought into the light, lose their destructive power. It is only repression that gives them strength, that allows them to operate unseen. The revolution begins in small moments. When asked for a favor you don't want to give, feel the pause before your automatic yes. Inhabit that space of possibility. Feel the discomfort of disappointing someone. Notice how rarely the sky falls. Observe how those who truly care for you adjust to your boundaries rather than punish them. Watch for the people who've grown accustomed to your endless accommodation. Their initial resistance to your authenticity reveals the transaction that your relationship has become. Some will fall away when you stop being useful to them. This is not your failure, but your liberation, the natural consequence of no longer offering what was depleting you. If you've spent years as the agreeable one, expect disorientation as you reclaim your voice. Identity shifts create vertigo, the temporary loss of familiar reference points. Your worth was never found in your utility to others. It has always resided in your unique expression of consciousness, your particular way of being human in this vast universe. Freud's greatest insight may be that we are strangers to ourselves, that our conscious mind is merely the visible tip of an immense psychic iceberg. Beneath your carefully constructed niceness lies a wilderness of desire, rage, creativity, and power. This isn't your enemy but your untapped resource, your forgotten wholeness. The goal is not to become selfish in the petty sense, but to develop what Freud never fully articulated, a mature ego that can navigate between authentic self-expression and social connection. If this resonates with your experience, if you felt the quiet desperation of perpetual niceness, know that you're not alone on this journey toward wholeness. The integration of shadow doesn't happen overnight. It's a continuing conversation between your deepest self and the world, a dance of authenticity and adaptation. When you stop performing goodness and start embodying your truth, something unexpected happens. Your relationships become fewer but deeper. Your work becomes more meaningful though perhaps less praised. Your energy, no longer drained by constant performance, becomes available for genuine creation and connection. The exhaustion of pretense gives way to the vitality of authenticity. Those who truly love you never wanted your performance. They wanted your presence, your full, complicated, sometimes difficult, always genuine presence. The most revolutionary act in a world of surfaces is depth. In a culture of performance, authenticity becomes rebellion. In an age of agreeability, your honest no becomes sacred. Your darkness, integrated rather than denied, becomes the soil from which your light grows stronger. Your edges, honored rather than smoothed away, define the unique shape of your contribution. As you release the exhausting vigilance of perpetual niceness, you'll find something waiting that you may have forgotten. The quiet joy of being simply, unapologetically yourself. The greatest gift you can offer is not your compliance but your wholeness. Not your performance, but your presence. Not your niceness, but your truth. Perhaps Freud's most profound legacy isn't his specific theories, but his invitation to radical honesty, to look unflinchingly at what we've hidden from ourselves and others. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise, he wrote. It is more than exercise, it is liberation, the journey from fragmentation to wholeness, from performance to presence. As you step away from the prison of perpetual niceness, you won't become a monster. You'll become more fully human, complex, contradictory, capable of both shadow and light. In this completeness, you'll discover what genuine goodness feels like. Not the brittle perfection of the nice guy, but the resilient integrity of the authentic self. The world doesn't need more pleasant people. It needs more whole people. People brave enough to contain their contradictions, to speak difficult truths, to stand in their full complexity. So stop trying to be nice. Start trying to be real. In that reality, messy, uncomfortable, and glorious, you'll find what your soul has been searching for all along. Not approval, but aliveness. Not praise, but presence. Not the hollow achievement of being liked, but the profound experience of being known, and from that knowing, truly loved.